Well, it's Monday, Monday, Monday. It's not a fun day, it's Monday. For those of you that have Saturday, Sundays off, first day back to work, how'd it go? Mine wasn't bad, but I'd rather be doing this stuff than doing that stuff. So, what are we gonna do? Keep doing it, right? Tonight, we're starting on this 84 Dodge Charger. Base model car, talked about that in the last video. We're gonna start with the interior. We're gonna get the doors open so I let it air out, just because it's hot. It's not super hot, but it's been sitting in the sun all day, so it's hot. We're gonna start with the interior. It's typically where I start when I start on these cars, so I can get all the clean stuff done before I move on to the greasy, dirty stuff. So we do that last. Another reason why we do the interior first is because as we're pulling parts off of the engine that we're not going to keep, they can go inside the car. That keeps us moving. As we pull parts off of, like, let's say we're pulling the rear brakes, so we're wanting the spindles and the hubs, the rear tires and wheels can go inside the car, because once you pull the spindles and hubs, there's nothing to bolt them back to, so they got to ride inside the car. So we do the inside first to get all of that done. Then we'll move on to like the body panels and then the engine stuff. Not necessarily always in that order. It just depends on how far we're going and what we're doing to the car. To the interior of the car, you're pretty much going to need just your basic tools. Metric sockets, 8, 10, 12, or 8, 10, 13, 15, 18. Probably not an 18 mostly. Mostly 10 and 13 is going to be your biggest two. And a Phillips screwdriver. And some patience. A few of these parts are a little tricky to get out, mainly like the heater controls. And then the headlight switch pull knob. On an L body, they're all the same, but on an L body it's a lot more compact, so you have to reach up in there and kind of be a contortionist to be able to get it. And you pull the headlight knob out as far as it'll extend, and then you reach all the way back up and behind. There's a little pinhead button. You push that up and then the knob will come the rest of the way out. And you need to do that to get the trim that goes around the heater controls and the headlight switch, to get that trim off. And that's held on by 4 Phillips head screws. But you need to get the headlight pull knob out before you can get that trim out. And then you can remove the heater controls. On an L body, the heater controls are very fragile. And then they also are very tight, so you can only come out so far. And then you got to get the cables removed. I've shown in other videos how to do that. I'll try to show you in the video on an L body how to do it on this car. So let's get our tools gathered up. Let's get some music playing, and let's get working. All right, so this is your typical Chrysler headlight switch. All the bodies, Daytona, LeBaron, Shadow, they all share a similar switch. There's a little few differences in them, but they're very similar in design and plugs in, and they all have the same button. So they're basically generally the same, close enough that we can consider them to be the same. Daytona LeBaron has 3 screws, but irrelevant. The general part of the headlight switch is the same. So this sits in the dash in this little cubby beside the heater controls, as you know, and it mounts in here like this. There's 2 screws, one top left, one bottom right. Remove those 2 screws and you can kind of work this out enough that you can get the harness unplugged. Now it plugs in from the top, so it's kind of tricky to get it from behind the dash. You probably can if you really, really want to try. I was able to pull it out far enough to be able to get in there with a flat blade screwdriver. And on the sides, here there's this little tab, one there and one here on the back. This plug here, try to keep that from rolling away. If I can get this out to show you, this plug right here, this big plug, as you can see right here, has these little fingers, and those lock into those tabs. And then you have this little extra wire here that goes on this tab. Once you get it out that far, keep in mind you've already got this knob off, but I'm still going to show you. So to get the knob off before you remove any of that other stuff, you pull the switch all the way out, and this is the little button right here. It's spring loaded. You have to push that button in order to get it to pop the headlight switch knob out. It's going to be very difficult to do this one-handed, so bear with me. All right, so let's try. So you see the switch is in, pull it out. This is what turns on your headlights. You push that button and this knob comes out. So you see this little pin on the back side of here. That goes into here and it locks where this spring connects. To get it back in, you just and then push it in. You gotta push it a little further than what I did. That'll snap in place, and now it's back in. And again, push this button, this little spring-loaded button right here. You probably have to use your pointer finger because of the space that it's up in there. But for here, I'm using my thumb. Wiggle it a little bit, now it's gonna be stuck. Sometimes they get a little sticky. Just gotta work with it a little bit. And I've had it out 3 times in preparation to make this little bit of a video for y'all. And here we are, it's fighting me. I could never never just goes easy. There it goes. So that's how you remove the headlight switch knob. So patience is a virtue on these. Oh, we're not keeping this. In all the years we've sold parts, I've never sold one of these. And you can see this one's kind of rusty and trashy looking anyways. So it'll join the old Pepsi bottles. Yep, these were in the car. I doubt they're worth much. They're still neat, but there's like, I'm sure there's no value in them. Oh, I'm gonna grab this last one. But there's 5 of them. They're kind of cool. I don't know. I might try to keep them. We'll see. All right, so next you're gonna have your heater controls. And if you've been around L bodies long enough, you know that this right here, the blower switch, is known to break. And this one is actually still good. So screw top left, screw bottom right. And that's when it gets trickiest from there on out. Because the cables that control the hot and the cold setting are short. They didn't give a whole lot of extra length on them. So it's a little tricky. So if yours is broke, you don't have to be as patient. But if yours is still good and you're trying to remove the dash or do something with it, be very, very patient and very careful, because these will break very easily. Let's see if we can get this one out without breaking it. All right, so what I did was I actually took the 4 bolts out and dropped the steering column. And the reason why is when this thing is in here like this ear on the right side wants to catch the back side of the steering wheel. So to keep it from getting broke, 4 bolts, steering column drops to the floor just like that. It's not that difficult. But you've got this harness, and then you got these 2 little wires. Those will come out once you get it that far out. You got the vacuum lines. They're held on by, they slide on the vacuum ports, and there's a metal clamp that kind of locks them into place. And then you have, if I can get it out of here, the temperature control cable. A lot of times, this is a prime example. I got it wrapped up in the wiring because that's how I had to take it out of the way. So that's this thing. You'll see the red. A lot of times these freeze up. This one actually, I believe, is froze up. But on the back side, you see that tab. That tab locks into that square. You can access that tab on the back side. So you squeeze that, and then you got to pry it out of here. But it also hooks to that metal arm right here. Okay, and on that metal arm is this little yellow metal clip. So this eye goes on the arm, and then this metal clip snaps onto the metal arm, locks it in place. That's what holds this cable to that arm. So we got it out without breaking it. It is missing one of the buttons, and a couple of the buttons are ugly, but a person can use their old buttons. This is where they're known to break. They always break right there where that rusty screw is, and then right there where that clean screw is. That is where they always break. This one's actually looks like it may have a very minor crack. You can see it right here. But it's not, but it's still solid. So a person could glue that, and when we put it on eBay, we'll mention that crack and we'll show it so the buyer can make a decision. So tedious, patience. Just take your time. Go slow. Drop the column if you have to, if you feel more comfortable with it that way. Just as an example, the 2 pieces of trim, the top and the lower section on the steering column, they both broke trying to get them out. So when you have a car that's this old, especially a car that's been, baking in the sun for years and years and years, plastic gets very fragile. So that's why I cannot express enough to be very, very patient. So let's set this off to the side. I typically try to leave my parts that I'm going to keep either outside the car or, like right now on the passenger side. So we can get the instrument cluster now. And there are 2 screws on the bottom of this black trim. This black trim bezel is separate from the cluster itself. So we're going to get those two screws that come in from the bottom. And then this bezel will pop out. And then there's 4 screws, 1 in each corner of the cluster. Then the cluster will come out. And of course you have to reach back in behind and disconnect the speedometer cable. And I believe there's 2 plugs on these. I know the Lebaron and Daytona, depends on the year, they have 2 plugs. So just make sure you're careful and take your time. All right, screw, 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 screw. And then you got this rectangular plug, flat plug, whatever you want to call it. And then this round plug, and then the speedometer cable. You can see the speedometer cables easily, they break back in here. So this cable is unfortunately no good. But it snaps into the back of the cluster. You just it's got a lock here on the top of this. You just squeeze this down and that'll raise that up a little bit, enough to slide it off the cluster. So that is now out. Now we're going to go to the center stack. This is the lower dash, whatever you want to call it. You can call it what you wish. But this is what we're going to remove next. And there are a couple of screws here at the bottom. And then 1 on each side. We remove the ashtray, and you can see there's a screw here and a screw here. I think that's it. We'll verify that. Alright, so I was correct. It was these 2 screws and then the 2 that attaches the side pieces to the lower console, lower storage bin, whatever. And then at the bottom of this, you're going to see 1 screw right here in the center, and then this will all just slide back a little bit and come right out. What happens is it locks into this bracket here, and then that screw actually goes into this. I've been finding that there's been people asking that need this metal bracket and this metal bracket, and the reasoning is if your car does not have that originally and you want to add that, you need these 2 brackets in order to make it all fit. So we're going to remove these. I'm pretty sure it's just held. I've never removed one. There's 1 screw, 2 screws, looks like holds this metal bracket in place, and then 2 screws that hold this lower bracket in place. We're going to go ahead and take those out, but while I was sitting here pulling this stuff, I noticed somebody took the guts of a factory radio completely out, cut it out, and put an aftermarket radio in. And the reason I see that is because if you look, it still has the balance lettering on the factory radio faceplate. To me, that seems like a whole lot of work where you could have just taken this out and bought an adapter that they sell at any parts store for next to nothing, and all that would have already been done. But hey, I didn't do it. I don't judge people. You do what you got to do to make it work. So we're gonna get these metal brackets out, and then we'll move on to the console. All right, on the console, you see that screw there? This is on the driver's side, towards the rear of the shifter. And if you look, the other one is right here, towards the front of the console. You're gonna need to remove the shifter knob. And then on the back of the console, behind the seats, you're gonna see 4 of these little plastic caps. 2 on this side, 2 on the passenger side. And then behind them are 4 10mm bolts, 2 per side. Remove those 10mm bolts, and then here's the tricky part. You're gonna have to pull this lever up in order for it to clear. Now, with us having all the other stuff in the front removed, I might not have to do it as much, but we're gonna have to do that a little bit at least. So hopefully, you're gonna be setting your parking brake, hopefully it releases. So let's get all that done. We'll show what we got. So earlier in this video, I talked about how fragile these plastics are. And unfortunately, sometimes, being fragile creates problems. So, trying to get the console out. As you can see, the parking brake lever pretty much straight up, and what happened was I was pulling at something broke in the back, which is fine. But during that process, the back of the console broke out, and pretty much all the mounting tabs that attach it all together. An L-body console is made up of like 6 different pieces, I think 5-6 different pieces, and they're all kind of screwed together, and each screw has a little tab that connects it to the next piece. They all broke, so basically the console's pretty much junk. So I'll salvage what I can. You know, if somebody has another one that needs one particular piece because they had the same issue, hopefully maybe we can save some of that. But we got the glove box out. As you can see, the cluster's laying up there. We got the passenger side seatbelt bracket apart. But I've preached this before, and I've seen other people talk about it as well. You might want to check your seatbelt buckles, because what happens is over time, especially on one of these older cars, but over time, you get this. Okay, so there's 2 metal sleeves, and this is what the bolt goes through and attaches it to the floor. But you can see the one metal sleeve is completely rotted away, and the other one's crunchy. It's not rotted away, but it's definitely crunchy. So the question is, I won't sell this. This will stay in the car. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And what happens when you get in an accident? If your seatbelt bracket looks this way, is that going to stop a human being from being, flying forward with it like that? Because think about it, one bolt goes into the bottom of the car, and this is what's holding you in on the buckle side. Now, on the other side, where'd that go? The seat, the part that goes onto the floor, you have this. I don't understand. All the bodies of the cars are all similar to this. Why they used such cheap, real thin. I mean, that's pretty thin from the factory. I mean, they did tests, obviously, and somebody that's a lot smarter than me engineered that, and they determined it was safe enough to hold a body. But when it's rusted like that, especially when half of it's completely rotted away, I'm not selling that. That's going to go stay in the car. I don't want to have that responsibility hanging over my head. So, just a lesson learned. Take the few minutes. It's a 13/16 bolt. Pop that out. Check those brackets to make sure they're good. But one of the things that I love about these older cars, and let's go over here in the shade for a minute. Hopefully the music isn't picking up. But I love what you find in these older cars. I have never seen one of these before. This is like a data card. And it says it talks about the 5-year, 50,000 mile added coverage for the warranty, dated 5/12 of 84, expires 5/12 of 89. Sorry, I had to mute the music. So, is this valuable? No, it's not valuable at all. It's more of a memento. One of those things that, I don't know why, but I keep that stuff. And it'll end up eventually, in the bin of junk that I've kept. And there's Mama Cat making her presence known. Watch out, Mama Cat. I'm trying to do a video. So anyways, that's kind of a cool piece. I said I've never seen one of them before, so we're going to keep that. But it's unfortunate that the car sat for as many years as it has, because all this stuff drew moisture. But this piece here is from a Goodyear store somewhere. I can't read it, but this is what I find interesting. 11/22 of 95. So this car would have been 11 years old. Because remember, it's a 1984 Dodge Charger, blue. But look at the miles. 21,548. And I don't know if they got an inspection. Maybe they got two. I thought maybe 2 tires. Oh yeah, they did. 165/80/13, 2 tires, $71. I'm guessing for 2. Well, I was trying to open this up, but it's all stuck together. And then the wheel balance, and then tire disposal fee. So that's pretty cool. It's not worth anything. It'll stay with the car, but it's still neat. Vehicle pre-inspection tag. We've seen those before. And this is from a fabric protector. PADA, somewhere in Pennsylvania. So this car must have spent time in Pennsylvania at one time. Dealership to complete every line on this form, and it all appears blank. So they must not have done anything. There's another Goodyear receipt. Not legible at all. Dig through these things. There's a Goodyear business card. And it is in Pennsylvania. If you're from that area, let me know if it's still in business. This may be... Nope, another Goodyear tire store in PA. This car must have been sold new in PA. Just miscellaneous receipts. Can't pick anything up. Another one from Brenner Motors. Can't read any of it. Oh, there's something. 5-year 50 warranty. It's got names. 84 Dodge Charger. I wonder if that was the name of the dealership. Brenner Motors in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We'll see if we can Google that. And all this stuff is what comes with the warranty. It's kind of rough, but it's still neat material. And again, it's not valuable. It covers parts of the engine, transmission, front wheel drive parts, rear wheel drive parts, quarter panel rust through protection, and whatnot. And then this is warranty information, 1994 or 1984, new and domestic. Yep, Brenner Motors in Harrisburg, PA. That must have been the original dealer that sold this car new. It talks about powertrain warranty, corrosion warranty, emission systems, etc., etc. And just basically more paperwork. I wonder if this is the odometer mileage statement. I wonder if that's for this car. Yep, 84 Dodge Charger. It just has an address. What I was curious is if I could find the original paperwork from when they bought the car, like what they received on trade-in and all of that good stuff. Brenner Motors. There it is. $81.92 is what they paid for this little car. And they had $491 in tax, $15 title fee, $24 registration fee, and then I don't know what that means. $530 paid. It doesn't. I don't see where it shows like where they had a trade-in or anything. I'll look at it closer. You get the idea. More. Is that PADA? PADA? Looks like a warranty sheet of some kind. Irwin, Pennsylvania, where the original owners lived. And then this is the arbitration satisfaction board. That's in every one of them. And then another ownership name or address change card. And then here's the contract. Chrysler service contract application. Anyway, I think that stuff is neat. I'll dig through it some more in a little bit, but right now I got to start getting focused back on getting this car parked, because like I've said yesterday, it's only got a few days here and I need to get it done. So I'm gonna get busy, and pretty much showed you everything on the interior. Again, I've said it, can't express it enough, patience when it comes to this stuff, because it's fragile. The L bodies, they were already a cheaper version of the car, so the plastics are not as heavy as they are in the other models. So if you're working on an L body interior, they're fragile, as you may already know. So be careful. For now, let's get this done. Alright, so I pretty much got the interior done for the most part. There's a few more pieces I got to get yet, but we're going to go ahead and move on. So let's say you need to get in the back, and like this car, you don't have a key. How do you get back there? Well, as you can see, it's cramped. These cars were not built for adults to be in the back. But this is how you're going to do it. First step is lay the back seat down. And then gather up all the tools you think you will need and more. Because you got to get all the way back to here. And you got to remove this blue carpeted panel. I'm going to start, it's been a long time since I've done this on an L body. You might be able to get away with removing the gray panel. I'm going to start there. There's 3 Phillips head screws. I think that has to come off as well. So we're going to start there and then we'll go from it. Alright, that sucks. That's never a pleasant job. Just, these things are like, I don't know what you call it. Fish bowls with this big back window and the sun beating on it. It's warm, but this is what you got to do. I went a little extreme on this because I got, I ain't gonna lie, I got aggravated. So you've got 4 screws. Now this carpet was all the way over here, but I'll tell you why I tore it off in a second. So you've got 4 screws. You've got 1 on each side in here, okay? And they attach. See where that, I don't know if you have, well, you can see it. Where that notch is, well, there's a metal bracket, metal tab that slides on that screw attaches to. So you got to get them screws off on each side. And then towards the center, you got 1 here and 1 on the other side. And that allows you enough room to kind of raise this up. You kind of have to pry it, and you can get in there and manipulate the latch. And then, as you can see, the hatch is open. To remove this panel the rest of the way, once you have the hatch open, you've got, and you see why I got aggravated, that screw, it was a Phillips head screw, as well as that screw, and there's a screw, and there's another screw. So you can see very easily why you can get flustered, and hopefully your screws are not in that bad a shape. Keep in mind, this car sat for many years, so moisture has creeped in and just, done its thing. In order to get to the taillights, I got to get the rest of these 4 screws out. Won't be so big now because I've got the hatch open. But my original game plan was to get, zoomed way in. Original game plan was to attempt to get this trim panel off, okay? But if you notice on the back side, there's 2 screws. And I'm sure they designed this so that, you couldn't just climb in here and do that. It is what it is. We got it, it's open, the hatch is up. Surprisingly, it actually stays up. I'm really amazed. So, still got the original spare. Don't look like it's ever been on the ground, but who wants to tote around a rusty rim with, what, a 41-year-old tire inside? It's going to stay where it's at. The spare tire well's got a big rust hole, and there's rust on the back side of it. I can see it from here. We're not messing with anything in here. It's really a shame. I had somebody asking for the wheelhouse trim. This is kind of beat up, but it's still, it can be sanded down and repainted. But the problem is, that little white hook right there, and then there's another one tucked in there. Those are factory, and there's 1 on each side. Somebody put those in, and they're not just screwed in, they're riveted in. Can't answer why they put those in. The only thing I can say is they wanted them so they can run like they did here and run a bungee cord from side to side to hold stuff back here. Who knows? Another problem is this big sail panel right here, the big blue piece on this actually doesn't look horrible. If it was gray, it'd be a lot better. Now they can be painted, and they are kind of a bear to get out. You got to remove all the screws, like everything else, and most of them are probably rusty and crusty. And then you can get that out. I may pull those just to have them. If somebody's got a gray car, even a blue interior Shelby Charger, they can use those. A gray car, you can clean them up really good, degrease them, and spend a lot of time and then repaint them. What they're known for is they're pretty fragile. Let's see if I can walk up here. And they get, this one had a little bit right back here. It's hard to see because of all the grime. But they get, well, there's some scratches at the top. They get fragile and they get break. And they start coming apart. You can see a little bit right here from probably where the seatbelt was hitting it. And see it right in here. So they get, this is way better than a lot of them I've seen. It's still bad, don't get me wrong. It's still not great. But it's not broke from what I can see. We'll probably go ahead and pull them. Why not? They're here. We can always throw them in another car later. So anyway, I'm going to work on getting what's left of these 4 screws out. I'll probably just tear the carpet the rest of the way off and make it easier so I can get to the screws. So let's go ahead and get those apart. Try to get the taillights out of this thing and carry on. It's Tuesday now. It's just after 3, it's like 3:20. I get home at 3 o'clock from work. And I'm already out here, dressed, ready to go. Plan tonight is to get this car done. It is Tuesday. I'd love to have it done and haul it tomorrow. However, I understand and know that that may not happen. I may have to finish it tomorrow, haul it Thursday. Thursday's its deadline. It will be gone by Thursday. So what did we get done last night? I was out here till, I don't know, 8 o'clock, give or take, working on this thing. Wasn't working overly hard at the beginning because I was doing the how-to and trying to show y'all how we do this. But tonight probably won't be as much of that because I have to get busy. I have to get this thing done. So let's see what we got done yesterday. Got the passenger door completely apart. Door panel, door glass, the mirror. Glass we're not keeping. We've already got like 4 sets. I'm not dealing with it. I'm tired of storing stuff forever. Interior's pretty much done. I'd still like to get this bracket off. I hate cutting decent seats, but at the same time, I'm not going to keep them unless somebody speaks up between now and then. There's one more bolt back down in here that I need to get out to get this off. This is the reclining mechanism, and it does work. The back seat I took out to get the rear seat belts out, and then also to assist with getting these side panels off. I am going to keep those. The driver's side seat belt, I was keeping them. But you can see that one there completely came apart when it came down. So I'm probably not going to pull the seat belts. I still got to get the dome light out. If you know anything about the 2 rail bodies, that wire, those 2 wires run all the way across and all the way down and all the way up under here somewhere. I forget exactly where. And then the plug is down here. I don't know why they did it that way instead of putting the plug up here, but that's how they did it. So I can do one of 2 things. I can either come back in here and snip it and let the next person, splice it back in, or hang on removing it and get the wires off and unplug it. That's probably what I'm going to try to do. We got the back cargo area done. Can't really see it. You can see inside. There's nothing left in there. The spare tires, junk. The jack's missing, whatnot. So got the taillights off. I'm probably going to take the tag light lens off. Maybe. I don't know yet. This side I didn't really get a whole lot done exterior wise because there's not a lot to remove. We got the door panel off. The mirror's busted. I'm not worried about the glass. I'm not worried about the door. I will be taking the handle mechanism, the inner handle mechanism, and this latch if I can get it off. These things sometimes are bare. These screws get stuck through time. I'll be removing those at a late, probably after the car's ready to go. Because once you remove this, the door won't shut completely. And then after you remove this, you can't open it from the inside. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'd still like to get the turn signal stock. And it's looking like the windshield is actually good. So the dash has got to come out. So all this has got to come back out, which it's unbolted. Just sit it down. All that's got to come back out so I can get the dash down and get the clutch pedal assembly out of it. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. So anyways, we've already discussed about this driver's side is completely busted all up. I'm not keeping the nose. We already have one of these in black that I have not been able to sell in 2 years. So this one's going to go across the scale. I've thought about keeping the hood but it's damaged pretty heavily right there on that corner. So I'm not keeping the hood. So the plan tonight is raise the hood, start working out of removing stuff out from under here, and then finish it up. So I'm not going to do a lot of videoing as I'm doing this because I really need to stay focused and get this thing done. So just be patient, and I'll show you what we've done as we go a little bit, maybe, or when I'm done. So let's get her done. All right, it's Wacky Wednesday. Wednesday, wish I didn't have to work. I don't know. Call it what you want. It's Wednesday. I don't even know what time it is. I believe it's after 6 o'clock in the evening. And I've been out here for a couple of hours. And the 84 Charger. The sun's been brutal. They're calling for a super hot day. Well, they were saying today, starting tonight, all the way through tomorrow. Heat index of like 105 again. So I was trying to get this thing done tonight because tomorrow after work, even in the heat, doesn't make a difference. I got to haul it because I need the trailer emptied before Friday morning. And that's the only chance I have will be tomorrow right after work. So I've been out here busting my butt for you guys, trying to get as many parts off of this car as I can salvage. So hopefully the haters point out what parts I should have kept. I'll go over that as we go along. So you can see the shade is finally hitting the front section of the car, but the rest of it's still out in the bright old sun. But that's all right. So passenger or driver's side fender, as you've seen before, is crashed. Door crashed, quarter panel crashed, hood crashed, front nose. The reason I didn't keep the front nose, I've already got one. I've been trying to sell for 2+ years and haven't sold it yet, so why drag another one in and why store another one? Sure, they don't remake them, but you know what? If somebody wants one bad enough, they would have done spoke up. I haven't even seen anybody looking for one. Shelby Charger noses, different story. Interior, both sill plates were broke, but we had to get them out because I was trying to get the seat belts out. I dropped the driver's seat belt, and this is what I ended up with, so it'll hang there the rest of the trip. The dashboard was cracked, was broken, no good. But I did keep the dash harness. Not sure why, because this is a carb car. But if somebody has a Rampage or an Omni or a base Charger, that Turismo, that they're trying to save and they need some pieces of parts, whatnot, there we go. We got that. The steering wheel, I was going to keep that, but just found that it's split at the seam pretty good. So no better no. Front seat on the driver's side is tore up. Passenger seat was nice. But again, I've got seats from other cars and haven't been able to sell. There is one more part that you might see in this video that I will be keeping. I just saw it. I have to remember to get it. So other than that. So this quarter panel, junk. I did keep the sail panel trim, fiberglass piece, whatever you want to call it. Call it what you wish. Did keep the rear taillights, even though we have 2 or 3 sets already. You know, they don't take up a lot of space. Rear bumper cover was junk already, but I used that to cut a quarter panel off. That's laying right there. Somebody says, why would you cut a quarter panel off? Well, this thing is rust free. It's not even, I mean, it's got a little bit of bubbling, but that isn't even nothing. And if somebody has a GLHS car and they're trying to save it and they need a quarter panel, there you go. Passenger door, kept the passenger door. Should have kept the rockers, but it's one of them deals where you got to come in and cut them up in here. So we're not going to keep the rockers. We've already scavenged enough. Cut the passenger door on the upper part, body side of the hinges. And then you can see it's laying here. Small issue. Doing this by yourself sometimes sucks because you got to deal with everything on your own. And you have to figure out how to make it work on your own. Pretty good at that. But sometimes shit happens. What happened here? As soon as I had the upper bracket cut, the lower was half. So once I finished that half, that door decides to go tunk and land on my fender, and then goes tunk and land right on the Subaru fender. Don't care about the Subaru, don't care about the trailer to an extent, but the problem is I now have a dent right in this body line. Probably from where it hit the fender. I'll keep it for now because it's already off. Worst case scenario, it can go in the next car over the scale. I hated that it happened. It really upset me. But it was either let it fall and that happened, or it fall on me, and the door's cheaper to replace than a hospital bill. So there we go. That's what we got. Windshield. You can see the windshield is still in the car, and what I discovered was that it has a very fine, you probably can't even see it, a very fine scratch here, and then it runs all the way up and across from a junk wiper blade. Could a body or a windshield person possibly get that out by buffing it? Maybe. But this windshield's probably going to bust as soon as I try to get it out anyways. And I'm really surprised it didn't already crack because it's got a big knot right here. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but can't save everything. Under the hood, let's see if I can get this thing up. It's not latched because I stole the latch. Stole the cable. Ugh. So, somebody was asking for a base plate for a carburetor. There we go. I had to fight to get it off, but it's off. And hopefully they come through and they're not one of those that decides to say, oh, I want this part, but then we never respond. We'll see. Parts I could have kept that I didn't. Side motor mount on the transmission side and the front engine mount on the engine. And then the one on the side on the engine. I don't know. I haven't fully decided. I may still keep the transmission side. I still have to possibly jack the passenger or the driver's side tire up. And you remove the two strut bolts to allow that strut to drop a little bit out of the way so that I can get those two bolts out, which are attached to the back side of the clutch cable bracket. Now, the only way, I got the bracket itself, but this goes, you won't even be able to see it, but I will point to it. It's up inside this, behind this spring. And the only way that I have found to get that out, pull the tire, take those two bolts out, that allows that coil and the strut to move out enough, far enough to knock that out. I may still do that. It won't take me very long. It's just a matter of just, getting the jack back out and doing it. So, with that said, this car is, as of this moment, 99.95% done. I have a little bit of junk I'm going to throw in. I can't really put a lot of junk in it because I'm missing the whole passenger side. I don't want nothing blowing out, running down the road. But I can put a little bit in it. I got just a small amount. I got seats and crap that can go in there, but you know what? We have other cars that are going across the scale here soon anyways, so we'll just worry about that at another time. I got to put both the front seats from this particular car back inside, and then just go from there. But spent the time to cut the catalytic converter off of these cars. As we know, they have some value. These cars not as much as others. Didn't think it was there because the exhaust was cut right about where it should be. So I did discover it last night and spent the time and cut it off just to pull it out. And it's an aftermarket cat, which those are useless, worthless, and it was hollow. Wasted my time, but that's okay. Wasted my time many times before. Seems like that's what I do a lot. So, 84 base model Charger is going to be done here in a few minutes, and we're going to move on to the next one. And what's the next one, you might say? Well, not that one, but this one. The 85. 85 still needs the engine and transmission pulled, and it's a shelf currently. And anybody looking for some really nice red seats, those things are darn near perfect. And I have yet to find even a single person that wanted to show interest in them. They're not going anywhere. I will keep them because finding really, I mean, these are like super nice. Each one has a tiny cigarette burn in it, but there is very minimum wear. So they're very nice shape. If somebody's got a red interior car and they need seats, I've got them. So hopefully I can find me a buyer. The back seats are actually really nice too. If somebody's looking for the back seats to go with them to make a matching set, that's what I would do personally, because they've all faded the same because they've been in the same car since new, but that'll be on whoever. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and yeah, I suppose, I don't know. So if a person's adding a stick to the car, Chrysler put a a false plate in there to cover the holes, because they were all stamped. Even the automatic cars, they were all stamped with those holes, and they just popped in some plastic, I think it's plastic, one plug or something to cover the holes on the automatic cars. So a person could theoretically just use 2 bolts, because they're just held on. That's basically what it is. It's 2 bolts attached to a bracket. So the bracket, you got 2 bolts, and then there's a span of metal between the 2, and then it slides in those holes, and that's how it all locks into place. But a person could use just 2 bolts if they really wanted to. So I don't know, I might just say the heck with it, strap this bad boy down, clean up my mess, call it a night. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. It could be the next person's problem. So let me do that. I smell. I'm filthy, as you can see. My hands, my arms, I don't know, my head maybe, and everything else. So with that said, 84 Charger, done. Man, what a day. So it's Friday. We left the house earlier this morning. I don't know exactly what time. I honestly didn't pay attention. Probably 9-ish. And it's just after 5. We just got back home. So we picked up another car. We'll go over that in a second. So the car was just like 2 hours and 10 minutes away on a normal trip. So what we done was, my wife had an appointment halfway roughly to where the car was. So I said, well, let's just go ahead and do it today. The plan was we were supposed to do it tomorrow. I said, let's just go ahead and do it today, as long as the seller's cool with it and he was cool with it, and everything worked out. But man, getting the car on the trailer went simple. It was like within 10 minutes it was done, ready to go. But then we had to go and take care of the title, and then the drive back, even though it was only 2 hours and some odd minutes, it seemed like it took forever. We're doing like 50 miles an hour at one time, and then following somebody doing, they do 50 and then up to 60 and then 50, and it was like, it was a 2-lane state route, and there wasn't any highway for the most part, and just took forever. And we stopped to eat, and that took time, obviously. But anyways, I'm not gonna sit here and complain about it. It is what it is. It's the way it goes. But what did we pick up this time? Story is, this is a 2-owner. So the guy we got the car from, his parents bought this car brand new. And from quick looking at the car, I literally didn't look over it very well at all. When we was loading it, it was more like, I want to get it loaded. It was hot, muggy, but I want to get it loaded and, just get home. So the story on the car was parked like 4 years ago for an oil leak of some type. And that's all I really know about it. So let's talk about it. It's a 1991 Chrysler Lebaron, and of course it's a V6 automatic car. Oh, has a battery. I didn't think it had a battery. Cool. Battery's no good, I'm sure. But anyways, V6 automatic car. Story, it had some kind of an oil leak. I don't know how significant, but looking at that dipstick, it looks like it might actually have a head gasket issue. And it is definitely low on oil. Let's put that back in. It's hard to tell. But anyways, we'll go over it. I'll add some oil to it if I have to. So, the cool part about this car is it's a coupe. It's not a convertible. Anybody knows a lot of these were convertibles. And the convertibles seem to have survived more than the coupes did. Now, don't get me wrong, it's got its fair share of rust. The rockers, the inside is pretty worn out, both sides, which is unusual. And then the rear seat, the backrest part is worn out, but that's okay. Haven't determined yet. Obviously, I've only been home 10 minutes. What this car's fate will be. I was originally thinking, maybe trying to get it put back on the road, and that's still possibly an option, but time will tell. We'll know more once we get into it further. So You can see so this car probably sat outside quite a bit through its life, and the sun just baked everything. The trailer does not like to clear fenders or doors. We do have a glove box full of critters, droppings, an old map, some other stuff there, and then the original paperwork. Let's see. So I paused it because I wanted to see, make sure there wasn't no personal information being shown. But it was sold new apparently at Salem Chrysler Plymouth in Dayton, Ohio, and that's where we come from. The car was down that way. But all these business cards, didn't look at them. They all look like they're somewhat the same. Owner's manual. I was looking for a window sticker, but it's not in here. Sometimes with these cars, when they're one on a car, you might get lucky. But yeah, the seats are pretty rough. This is a seat cover, and the original seat material is under there, but even it's torn and split. So 91 Lebaron Coupe. This side isn't too terrible. A little bit of rust there, more all towards the front. Some bubbling in the paint here and here. So all in all, for a 1991 Ohio car, now I didn't check the floors. I'm not going to worry about today, because I'm honestly ready to call it a night. I still got parts I got to go ship. I haven't put a battery in it or nothing yet, obviously. 94,000. Original model car. Got a Pioneer radio, power windows, manual locks, manual mirrors. So it's a pretty base car. This is a good part if the car is not savable. This is a good part if it's good. I got an oil change sticker, 97,060. So the oil was changed fairly recently. So like I said, thank you today. Appreciate the hooking up with me and getting this taken care of. And we'll get this thing in the garage eventually. For now, we're just going to probably shove it off into the driveway because I've got other cars, as you know, to take care of. But this one is a candidate to either become a daily driver for somebody, or worst case scenario, become the next a future parts car. So with that said, I'm tired, I'm sweaty, I'm hot, and I'm ready to be done. Call it a day. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. All right, it's Saturday. You can see the sun is shining. There are a few clouds in the skies. Problem is, it's muggy. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's probably close to mid-80s. Not doing anything car related per se today. Today we're going to a family reunion, but we did do something car related. So we picked up this. This is a 1930 something, I don't know, Dodge Roadster. It's not ours. My uncle bought it fairly close to us and asked me if I would deliver it to his house today. So we went this morning, my buddy and I went and picked it up. And then my wife and I are getting ready to head out to take it to him. And then we got to go up the road about 10 minutes to the family reunion. Pretty cool old rod. It needs some TLC, but it's neat. Definitely not something you normally see come in here at Forgotten Dailies. But trailer's not biased. It don't care what it has on it. It's hauled Subarus. It's hauled stuff like this. It's hauled Toyotas, and you name it. So anyway, it's hot. I'm sweating already. Just walking around this. Let's get in the air-conditioned truck and head out. All right, it's Sunday. We're going to be out in the garage probably most of the day. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm sweating. I literally feel like I just got out of the shower, which I did just get out of the shower 15 minutes ago. It is muggy today. The humidity is going to be through the roof. It rained yesterday morning. It was humid all day yesterday, and then it rained again during the night last night. It was raining when I got up this morning, and it actually rained pretty hard for a little while first thing this morning. So we got all this moisture in the air, or in the ground, and then the sun's out. It's actually, well, today's not bad. I didn't even look up the sky. It's cloudy, gray. My wife said something about it's supposed to storm. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Either way, doesn't change anything. We're inside today. I don't plan on doing a lot outside. We got the car that was on the trailer yesterday that was dropped off. So the trailer is currently empty. Tomorrow, it's back to work. And then I have a funeral thing to go to tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow after work. Longtime friend of the family passed away. So hopefully he's at peace now. Good man. He was funny. He was quite the character. So a little bit about him is years ago, before we started this business, we dabbled in a little bit of like Hot Wheels and stuff. And we would go to flea markets and set up. So anyways, he was an older guy and he was just kind of gruff. He wasn't mean. He was just kind of gruff, rough around the edges, whatever. Bachelor. Anyways, he'd come walking up, and yell my name and, "Where's your old man?" And then he would call my mom by her name. And so he would literally, talk to me for a minute. "I'm going to take a nap." And next thing you know, he'd climb up in the back of the little van we had and he'd lay there and fall asleep. 15, 20 minutes later, he'd get back up. "Oh, I got to go." And he'd take off again. So some memories with him. I'm glad I had the time to get to know him a little bit. Not as much as my parents did, but that's okay. He was their friend. But anyways, today is going to be a busy day, I believe. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to get some things done for you guys. I got to do the compression check on the 85 engine. My goal today, and it's a goal, doesn't mean it'll happen, but it's a goal, is to get the engine and transmission out. And as you know, those, it takes time. So I've got to move it backwards a couple 3 feet so I can get to the driver's tires. I'm going to try to put it like right in here, just because this place is just a disaster. There's not enough room. This is that engine that's got to go to Grand Rapids. He's waiting on pictures of these, so maybe I'll try to do that today as well. And then just a hodgepodge of just stuff. Anyway, got to get it rolled back a little bit so I can get this tire off, get this axle shaft out, and get it ready to go and get it put back together. And then we'll come around the passenger side where I have a lot more room, so where this sits doesn't make a difference, but it'll end up being right about here. Of course, I got to move all that out of the way. Let's do the same thing. Pull the wheel off, take everything apart, pull the axle shaft out, and then set it back on the ground on its tires again. Put it back together and put it back down. Then I got to go in and remove the wiring harness. We do try to sell the wiring harness as good as we can make it, so I don't just go in and start hacking and cutting things. I will actually unplug as much as I can, get the airbox out of the way, and then disconnect the clutch cable, the throttle cables, heater hoses. I'll just cut those at the firewall and cut them and just throw them inside the car. But I try to disconnect as much usable parts or sellable parts off of here as I can. So once all of that is done, then we'll shove it on back to where the back of the car is actually outside the garage, just because of room. If this wasn't laying here, I'd have more room up front, but I don't. So I got to shove it back far as I can, get the engine puller up here, get the engine out, transmission out. I'll separate them later, and then probably just set it on the floor here. And then I got to shove the car back in the garage and finish the interior. I got to get the steering column out, get the cluster out, the clutch pedal assembly, and then some miscellaneous. I think the shifter's still in it, and the shifter cables are still in there. And I've been kind of putting junk in this car. No, the shifter's out, and the cables are still in there. But I still got tools laying over here, and you can see I've started filling this car up. So I still want to keep these doors. The problem is I don't want to store the darn things. I've got so much of this big stuff already. I really don't want to store the doors, but I love the turbo decal. And I still think that these would be cool to make into a sign if we were ever to get a building. So I'm going to end up pulling the doors and putting them in somewhere. And, you know, that's just the kind of crazy person I am. So, first step, compression check. Oh, shoot, that's what I got. I got to go down and get a tag. I'm going to start putting tags on these engines. So, A, I know what year it was. B, I know what it come out of. I know the compression numbers right on the tag. I'm going to write all that on the tag. And then once I put it away, I can reference back to that tag later so I don't forget where it come from. So I'm going to kick on this big fan, so it's going to be noisy. I'm going to turn on some tunes, and I'm just going to work. I'm going to try to get this thing done. Because I said it before, we've been averaging about getting one car a week. And today's Sunday. We've already got a car lined up to go pick up Tuesday. It is completely out of our norm. It's a friend of mine's. It says actually his mother-in-law's. So, I think it could be a good parts car. I think it could be a decent money maker. And at the end of the day, you know, when opportunities like that come along and you can make money, that's the whole point of business, is to make money. So, you know, that kind of car that we're going to get, and we'll do more on it later, that helps keep us financially ready to buy, you know, these other cars. There aren't any other of these cars locally now. There's a few that are 2 hours, 3 hours away. But honestly, I'm sick of sitting in the truck. So this week, I really, as of right now, don't plan on going anywhere far. This car we're picking up Tuesday is like 15 minutes away. So that's easy. The white Lebaron Coupe, we did get it off the trailer, and that's a pretty nice looking car. So I talked to my buddy who you've seen in the videos, and he's going to be the wrench in this part of the business, where I'm going to be the guy that tears everything apart, and he's probably going to be the guy that's going to take cars like that and fix them. Because as of making this video right now, our plan is to put that car in the garage and put it back together and put it back on the road. The seats, like I've shown you, are pretty rough. But I have the 90 base Daytona. It's been sitting here for 2 years. Haven't really decided what to do with it. Well, it's got a pretty decent seats in it. Now, the back seat won't work, but the front seats will bolt right in. So, if we can get it running good enough to where it's worth, you know, putting back on the road, then we'll just take the front seats out of the 90 Daytona, slap them in it for now, and possibly, just to keep the 90 Daytona with seats in it, we can either put those seats back in that car. That's probably what we'll do. We'll probably just put the seats out of the LeBaron back in the Daytona, just so it stays a mover. I have a plan for the Daytona. It's the only reason it's still here. We have an idea in our head. My son and I do. As far as the Lemons Rally, and I'm really wanting to do another Lemons Rally, and that's the car I want to use. That's the only reason that car is still here. But I don't know. Its days may be numbered too. So time will tell. I'm gonna quit babbling. I'm gonna start working. I'll try to do some tidbits, whatever you want to call it, here and there as we're going along. Show you what we're doing, and go from there. All right. Well, first of all, never mind the fan blowing. If I turn that fan off, it gets hotter than heck in here. So I'm gonna let it run while we're doing this little skit on the video. Been at this for a while. I'm tired. I'm very exhausted. But I just, you know, plucking away at it a little bit at a time. And we now have an engine loose from the car. Now, I would never recommend pulling an engine out the bottom. It's a huge pain in the ass. It's the worst way to do it. I've done it both ways, and I've always fought it going out the bottom. I've never fought one going out the top. However, with this one, I pulled the front engine mount because it's got to come out to get clearance. Well, once I got the driver's side axle pulled, I went ahead and removed the bolt, the long bolt that goes through the frame rail for the transmission mount. And when it did, it went plunk, and it fell down there. So, it's already part way there. I went ahead and removed this engine mount and let it fall the rest of the way. I got the rear shock mount off. It still needs to be slid out of the bracket, but it's unbolted. Now I got to figure out, because it didn't go back like I wanted, I couldn't move it. The plan was to take the driver's side brake pads off and the rotor off and then come to the passenger side and do it. I didn't get to the passenger side. And luckily for us, the CV axle was already broken too, so I didn't have to worry about removing the CV axle, but I was going to get the rotor off so that there was zero resistance on this thing moving other than the weight. The rear drums and hubs are already off. Well, the drums. So, actually it's just the shoes inside the drums, sorry. But anyways, the rear's already taken apart, so the rears roll easily. It was the fronts that were kind of dragging on the rotor from years and years of sitting. So, now I need to figure out how I can do it two ways. I can go ahead and bring my cherry picker, try to get it in here. I have the tire off, so there's room for it to go up underneath, and pull the engine up and get it out of the way. Or try to go ahead and lift the car up, get the engine on the ground the rest of the way, then I can sit it down. I don't know what I'm doing, what I'm going to do. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know which way I'm going to do it. It is very hot. That big fan is blowing air around, which is nice. It's loud, but it's okay. I would rather be loud than be miserable, completely miserable. So I've been going slow. It's taking my time. I've sat and taken some breaks, and I can normally have one of these engines out fairly quick, but I'm not pushing it today. My body's hurting. I'm just physically wore out. But work never stops. It always needs to be something done. Now I shipped parts this morning that sold yesterday. And since I've been out here, we've had more stuff sell. Not a complaint at all. I'll never complain about that. But that means once I get done out here, I get to go get cleaned up yet again and go down and ship that stuff. But I'm going to try to get this engine the rest of the way out and then call it a day. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do the rest of the day. I hate just going in and sitting down on the recliner, because then my mind starts playing tricks on me and keeps saying, hey, you dummy, you should be doing something rather than just sitting and relaxing. It's very tough for me to do, to just sit. I don't mind in the evenings once I've done a lot or done some stuff, but on a Sunday, to just sit and stare at a TV all day makes my mind go nuts. So, with that said, I'm going to get that shock mount slid out of the bracket, see where this engine goes from there. I don't think it's going to fall any further. The pulleys are kind of holding it together, but if it falls the rest of the way down, it falls the rest of the way down. I try to make sure I'm not underneath it. So let's get it done and see where it lands. And like that, it is out. Notice the fan's not on currently because I had already went in the house, got cleaned up, got a shower, got clean clothes on, and come out to finish this. So the engine and transmission are out. Again, I'm going to separate the transmission from the engine at another time, but it came out through the top just like I always do, and it came right out, no issues. That to me is the easiest way to do it. So with that said, I'm going to go down and ship some parts and probably work on getting some parts listed, or pictures of them and stuff. I got to work on this mess. I'll get to it someday. Tomorrow, like I said already, it's going to be another night where I'm not going to do anything business related, car related. Tuesday, we're picking up another car, so I probably won't get much done then either. My goal this week was to get this 85 done and gone. I don't know if it'll happen. We're going to try. So until then, we'll catch you next week. Keep you up to date what's going on around here. Like, follow, subscribe, and I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate everybody that follows. I appreciate the encouragement. We'll see you later.